The Elder Scrolls 4 Remastered just getting announced. I'm Jeff Grubb. I'm joined by Timur Hussein. I'm joined by Mike Minotti and Nikki Grayson. The game is out now. It's $50 for the standard version, $60 for the deluxe edition. It's Game Pass as well. It's available on Steam, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. The details from the Steam page. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered modernizes the 2006 Game of the Year with all new stunning visuals and refined gameplay. Explore the vast landscape of Cyrodiil like never before and stop the forces of Oblivion from overtaking the land in one of the greatest RPGs ever from the award-winning Bethesda game studios. They're making it with Virtuos, who's the support studio that seems to have done the bulk of the work here. And then, yeah, out now, was a shadow drop. The other big thing, I guess maybe to start the conversation, we saw some leaked screenshots of this game a little bit ago where it's kind of compared it to the old version, and the one thing that kind of everyone picked up on is it looked a little bit less saturated. The colors didn't pop as much. That's not the sense I actually got from looking at it. What actually I think happened there is they added maybe some like volumetric, like atmospheric fog and stuff like that, and that just muted the colors from a distance. It looks a lot better in motion.
Yeah, it looks very good in motion. There was like that one part where they showed a landscape, and it had that, you know, the old Oblivion, the greens were almost an emerald green. You could say maybe it was unnatural, but it was kind of the look, and I did like that. And when they did the pan to the new style there, it was much more realistic looking, and I don't think it's some big issue. There was like a part of me like, oh, is that losing the style a little bit? Maybe. Not something I think I'm going to think about a whole lot when I play the game, but there is a difference.
They're improving the combat. They said that's going to be a little bit better. The UI. They're making a lot of changes for something that they're calling a remastered. Obviously, you know, we can debate actually a remaster, remake, but this is it's a big boy remaster at the very least, and I think it qualifies as a remake. I think it looks like they did a ton of work here. Anything else that you guys noticed or picked up on?
Particle effects. Ever heard of them?
Yeah,
they got a lot of them.
Yeah,
It was interesting when they said, like, you know, in the original game, there was space limitation, so a lot of the NPCs had the same voice no matter their race. Here, they're like, okay, they're going to sound different. Now, part of me is worried, because they didn't say, like, we have different voice actors for everybody. They said they're going to sound different.
I'm sure they just, like, move some, like, modulation sliders around about it.
I mean, that's kind of what you want, right? Like, I feel like if it's too polished a remake, some of that charm is lost. And some of the old school realities of game development being present in this game is almost part of the nostalgia, right? Like, it's for people who are coming to this first time, they might be like, that's weird. But they probably have the context that this is a remake or remaster. And for people who have played it before, they come to it and be like, this is how I remember it. So it kind of hits both audiences correctly, I think, anyway.
And they did emphasize, like, oh, we are maintaining a lot of those quirks, the awkward greetings that all the characters do when you walk up to them and they turn, you go, hi there, and they look all weird. They wanted to keep that because they know that is it's like prequel memes, right? Like, how many people really love the prequels? Well, you know, who cares? They had some really great memes that get shared because they're just so memorable. Same thing I think kind of applied with the awkwardness and maybe some of the rough edges of Oblivion originally. So upgrading the visuals, you only want to lose so much of that in the translation, and I don't know, to me it feels like they're striking a pretty good balance.
I think so.
I do want to see what these, you know, because some of the gameplay improvements they talk about sound like vague, like, oh, we've improved the combat. I'm like, well, I wonder what that means. I wonder if it's something I'll even notice as somebody who, you know, hasn't played Oblivion in a long time. Is it going to be like, oh, the combat sort of feels like what I thought it always did, and it's actually even clunkier than I remembered. They talked about adding sprint, and part of me is like, wait, how did sprint work in the other old game? Was there any sprints? Was it tied to a bar? But it looks like it's just kind of free sprint now, which probably what people expect.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's like they're probably going to make changes that you wouldn't even otherwise realize are changes. Like, had they not called it out, I would have been like, of course it always had sprint. I haven't played Oblivion in a very long time. So when I go to play, it's like, you know, this is just how the game works. Making those kinds of changes are sort of a no-brainer at a certain point where it's like, let's make the game feel as modern as possible without getting rid of any of the obvious, this is Oblivion stuff. So, yeah. And now the characters aren't ugly anymore, so they did get rid of that key aspect of Oblivion. I guess just overall, what do you all think of the visuals? I think it looks like a pretty good, almost modern game.
When you say the characters aren't ugly, I think from a technical perspective, they're not ugly.
Yes.
Because some of those characters are still ugly. They just look improved ugly. You know what I mean?
The intended ugly, yes.
Yeah, they're still ugly. Well, it's like, all the character models look a lot better with fidelity. They still kind of have that weird Oblivion facial animation and just kind of stand and talk.
Yeah, like,
and I'm kind of like, good. Yeah, give me, that's what I want. That's what I want.
They talk from their neck. That's what
exactly. It's like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon where like they gave every character a tie, so they only had to animate their heads the whole time.
The only thing that animates on a face is the mouth and just the like a centimeter around the eyes.
Yes. Right. So the eyebrows can go up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got good Botox in terms.
Yeah, they got the real good Botox. People are pointing out Clair Obscur Expedition 33 in another RPG is coming to Game Pass this week. I don't know how much of anyone's lunch is going to get eaten here, but people are certainly bringing that up. Do you guys think that's a kind of a frustrating thing?
The team is very aware of it as well because they just posted their key art, but all the characters are moving towards an Oblivion gate. So they get it. They understand.
Yeah, I don't think this is, if it's on Game Pass, and that's the problem. It's like, well, if one game gets you to get Game Pass, maybe the other one being there is a reason to keep Game Pass. I don't know.
Yeah, when it comes to Game Pass as a context, having too many RPGs at the same time is never an issue. Like, if you're a Game Pass player, your brain just goes, oh, I'm going to play one game, and then when I'm done, I've got another game to go straight into, or I can play both games at the same time. And obviously, they are similar. They're eating each other's lunch in terms of like how much time they take up in people's lives, because gameplay and wise they are very different games. Oblivion is a open world RPG in the way that we currently know them, whereas Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is more of a classically styled RPG, JRPG even, made by a French team.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Final Fantasy. So I think there's enough differences between them that, I mean, like I played a bunch of Clair Obscur for preview, and I am excited at the prospect of playing that game as well as playing Oblivion, and I don't feel like there's overlap. If it was like, oh, I'm playing Clair Obscur and they just launched Metaphor, then I'd be like, they're very similar, but these two are like very, very different games.
Very different games. I agree. All right, then in the kind of gameplay that they showed, they did reference a lot of like the big side quests. All that stuff just looks really well maintained and kind of presented in the best way yet. So I think they kind of get what people come to this game for, and I found that pretty exciting. Now, if you are a big fan of like Bethesda Game Studios games, is the expectation going to be that they're going to do this with Fallout 3 as well? Like they kind of, I mean,
slippery slope,
right?
Slippery slope. I think it being an expectation is probably not a great idea to kind of have. Like, I think everyone should just take this as a wonderful little treat for them, and then if another Fallout style thing happens, great. If not, just be cool. Be cool, man.
Hey, you know what? I'm expecting it.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna do it. I think that's a gimme. Come on.
I think it's a gimme just because the tech is like, you do all this work for the tech, and the tech is very similar between those two games. But also, like, the reason they're doing this is to fill in their schedule for the years it's still going to take them to get to Elder Scrolls 6, and let alone the next Fallout game. So I think this is a pretty good way. You know, everyone should be following the path that Capcom has sort of set out. Here's a new game. Here's a remake. That's worked really well. I know a lot of people are sick of remakes, but it keeps people employed and keeps giving us new ways to play old games. I like both of those things.
Before we move on, I just want to highlight, we talked up front about what's in this game. We should probably break down the overall package, because the Xbox website lists this. It says it's listed as the complete story. So experience everything Oblivion has to offer with previously released story expansions, Shivering Isles, Knights of the Nine, and additional downloadable content included. And there's also, if you buy the deluxe remastered edition, you get the base game digitally. You get an Akatosh and Mehrunes dragon armor, weapons, and horse armor sets. You get a digital art book, sound, and a soundtrack app. And obviously the Shivering Isles and Knights of the Nine is going to be there, as well as Fighter's Stronghold expansion, the Spell Tome treasures, Vile Layer, Mehrunes Razor, Thieves' Den, Wizard's Tower, Orrery, and the Horsepack Armor.
There we go.
It's back.
We did it, everybody. We did
Armor
it.
is included.
One thing that they have not mentioned is support for mods yet. And that's a very big thing for Elder Scrolls games. It just is, one of the reasons Skyrim is constantly in the top most played games on Steam for years, like with 25,000 people playing every single day, is massive mod support. And this game is probably not going to have that out of the gate. They're not saying anything, but I bet the community figures it out pretty soon, and then we'll know, like, okay, is the underlying foundation still all there? So all of the work that's been done can just hook into that with like a little bit of modification, sort of like what happened with Skyrim. Was it Special Edition? Is that what they called that? Maybe that could happen, or maybe everything will have to be completely reworked because this is Unreal Engine 5 and it is fundamentally different. We just don't know yet.
Yeah.
Right.
And then someone pointed out the Sky Oblivion devs. There is an effort by a bunch of modders to recreate Oblivion in the Skyrim engine. They put out an open letter saying that this is good for everyone and that they're very happy to see this. They've been working on that for years. So
yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Mike.
Sorry. That's what it's kind of what you need to say, but they're going to have a little bit of a leg to stand on because there are going to be some gameplay changes in this. So if they make the most faithful version of Oblivion, perhaps they'll still be able to attract some fans and attention.
Yep.
Yeah, and also
totally.
These mod teams, they're not. It's a different kind of audience that goes for these kind of mods, right? Like you go in there knowing that the thing that you're about to play is a modification created by fans.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a super high-end, high-res kind of version of the game. You are playing a version that is almost a different kind of nostalgia. You're getting nostalgia for Skyrim and Oblivion at the same time.
Yeah, good point.
Which is I think it presents a unique experience unto its own. So you can play, it feels like to me there's 3 versions of Oblivion you can play now. The original version, the modded version that the team is making, and now this like super high-end version. If you're an Oblivion or Elder Scrolls fan, like there isn't a better time than right now to be a fan of these games.
And that community has a lot of the kinds of sickos that would want to just throw themselves into all the different versions and see all the differences. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. I think that's going to do it for us. Any other final thoughts on Oblivion, everyone?
This is going to really tide us over while we wait another 10 years for Elder Scrolls 6.
I think so. Should barely get us there, I think. All right. Mike, Nikki, Tam, thank you so much for hanging out with me to talk about Oblivion. We're going to be back with more stuff on the site. We'll be back with plenty more coverage of Oblivion as it's out now, and we're all going to go play it. So we'll talk to you next time. Have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.